I don't know what came over me, Judy. I had this overwhelming desire to make something in the kitchen. I suppose it's a yearning for normality or childhood, or
I don't have this yearning. What I have, and I've had it for as long as I've been on Facebook, is when people like your sister or anybody talks about all the raw foodies, all the home bakers, when they talk about, I always reply with, make up a batch and send it over to me and I'll send you money. Nobody's ever taken me up on it yet.
Welcome to Own It, Your Business and Your Life, with Nicola and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money, and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty, and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show.
how are you then?
I'm excellent. How are you?
Oh, I'm all right, actually, considering.
Yeah, good. Tell me about your week.
Well, it's been a week of ups and downs, largely ups, which is good. Nelson and Phoebe are quite hilarious, mainly at my expense, I have to confess. But I've always been one who likes a good laugh at themselves. So yes, it's been very funny. We sort of gravitate towards the kitchen. We all work in our own bedroom because Nelson's making music, interspersed with chopping logs. And then Phoebe's in her room doing her own social media things, and I'm in the living room. And we all gravitate towards the kitchen at around, well, quite a lot throughout the day. But largely the chatter and conversation starts about sort of 5, 6 o'clock. And we all cook separately, largely. So we're all in the kitchen cooking our own things. And then we gravitate towards the lounge where we eat and then watch TV or whatever. But it's nice to have company, and it's also nice to have my own space. I look forward to going to bed and shutting the door and being quiet and looking out of the window at the high street, which is completely deserted, obviously. So, yeah, it's okay. Our spirits are good. Phoebe's doing very well with her little business, and best month ever. So she's not worried about money. Nelson's making enough from the chopping wood to make enough, to cover himself till the pub opens again. Phoebe seems to have got a little sideline going, which is people are paying her to make happy birthday video compilations where people, Irving's Joe started it. She's got a friend who's sadly not very well, and they were a bit worried that they wouldn't, it was his 60th, and they were a bit worried he wouldn't make it to the 61st. So they've all sung happy birthday and sent him heartfelt messages of congratulations, and Phoebe's edited it all together into a birthday video, and the orders are, as they say, are flooding in one by one.
Well, it's interesting because my birthday is going to be during lockdown, and normally I'm not bothered, but when you've got no choice, it's a weird thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all about the choice, isn't it? And,
yeah,
and not having any.
Yeah, yes, quite. When when choices are taken away from you.
Yeah. I mean, Nelson went out last night. He went off to meet a friend to play football, and we were a little bit, cross with him about that. But he says he just can't cope with it. He has to do some physical activity, or he's going to go mad. So,
well, as long as he doesn't get very close to his mate, he's fine, because they're both allowed to leave the house once a day for exercise.
Yeah, exactly. And he made a shelf up at his log place because there's a lot of wood around, apparently.
Yes.
And I don't know if you remember Nelson's abortive 2 weeks on a carpentry course once.
No, but I love the idea of Nelson chopping wood and tractors and the story that you told us last week about.
Yeah.
Isn't it strange? Because if this had never happened, he wouldn't have got back to that, probably.
I've got an update on the horses. They used to be in the Robin Hood film, and they're worth over $2,000 each, apparently.
Wow. Okay.
I know. Yeah, he asked the chap where they came from, and he apparently found them on a deserted place himself. So he brought
the Kevin Costner one, or because there's only been about 1,000 versions of Robin Hood.
Oh, I'll have to ask for more details.
Okay, all right. If they've been near Kevin, I'll be quite keen. Okay.
Well, they're not moth-eaten at all. So, what else happened? I helped Andy with his webinar last week, and Paul Fugel, so that was quite nice. He was basically, it's called the Rational Thinking webinar. So basically, Andy takes his questions from people and calms them down and and looks at them in a logical fashion. And that was quite good for me, my own mental health as well, because listening to people being sensible about things helps me be more sensible about things. And then I'm helping, my friend Pete, he's finally decided, well, he had actually decided this year was the year he was going to go digital because, of course, his gamification income all depends on flying around the world, lecturing on gamification and then going to people's offices and consulting on gamification and then working with their teams to implement gamification. So his income's fallen off a cliff rather, and he said, well, I was planning to go digital this year anyway, so he's been asking me about webinars and things like that. And finally, I've saved this and I've managed to keep it off my timeline just so that I can surprise you.
Oh, good.
I baked some bread this week.
Oh, no, I saw that.
Oh, bugger.
Yeah.
I've been trying so hard to keep it a secret from you.
Yeah, no, it was a big loaf. It was a mother of a loaf too, wasn't it?
It was. Well, I followed Jamie's recipe, and it said first put a kilogram of flour on the worktop, make a little bit of salt, a little bit of sugar, and some yeast, and make a hole in the middle.
Yeah.
And start pour in some of the water, warm water.
Yeah.
And start working it together. Well, if you've ever tried to do that, the water, I'm not joking, runs everywhere. And I was up to my elbows in sticky, clingy dough, which felt very alien and not very nice at all. And Phoebe was trying to rescue me with a tea towel. It was a messy business, I can tell you. But I ended up with this monster of a loaf, which would never have fitted in the tin I bought in a million years. And then I had to prove it twice. We had to find a warm place in the flat and prove it twice, but it did double in size, so it did everything it was supposed to. And then I had a bit of a job getting out of the bowl I put it in to rest because it had doubled its size and it was stuck to the side. So unfortunately we lost some air at that point, but then I put it in the oven and prayed. And it came out a corker, and the kids were inordinately excited.
Well, I tell you,
anything in my life.
The leaky water and the sticky hands reminds me why almost every home I've house sit has got an unused bread maker in it. But now I think they'll all be being called into use, don't you?
Well, they will, yes. And we've actually done a deal with Irving's Jo, who has an unused pasta machine, that if we drop up freshly made bread, she will loan us her pasta machine.
I do quite like these swaps deals that are going on.
They're great, aren't they?
Yeah,
bartering at its finest.
Yes.
But we're quite keen to make some little filled pasta parcels.
Yeah, but that's because you've been watching MasterChef, haven't you?
You can't get away from them on there, can you?
No.
Ravioli and what those other... I don't know. Anyway, Phoebe's very keen on the whole idea. So, yes, you're right. We need a bread machine.
Yeah,
that would be much better.
Well, Amazon could deliver you one. I don't think they're terribly expensive. They're way less than £100. Are they 70 quid, 50 quid, something like that?
Yeah, we've got other ways of acquiring kitchen gadgets, and Facebook Marketplace.
Of course,
they give them away on there.
Yeah, but I bet they don't give them away at the moment.
Well, they do actually. People are still going and collecting things.
What I meant was, I bet they don't give away bread machines at the moment because I think people are probably calling them into use.
Well, people can't get flour at the moment. It's.
Okay.
I've blown through. I bought 2 1.5 kilogram bags of strong flour, and I've blown through most of one just making that loaf. So it's we were trying to work out the economics of buying bread versus making it, and we've decided the bread is still lasting. We're able to hack our way through it. So yeah, it is definitely viable. But no, it was very. I don't know what came over me, Judy. I had this overwhelming desire to make something in the kitchen. I suppose it's a yearning for normality or childhood or. I don't have this yearning. What I have, and I've had it for as long as I've been on Facebook, is when people like your sister or anybody talks about all the raw foodies, all the home bakers, when they talk about, I always reply with, make up a batch and send it over to me and I'll send you money. Nobody's ever taken me up on it yet. No, because they're not actually doing it themselves. They're just talking about it because it makes.
Oh no, I'm not sure that's true. I mean, there are people making things and sharing pictures of them, but I mean, I would love home baked stuff. I just don't want to bake it myself. Thank you very much. And actually, funnily enough, bread is my least attractive commodity on the planet.
I'll tell you who is doing well, Gusto and people like that, because we tried it and we loved it actually, and they're still.
Yeah, I'm going that next.
Yeah,
I'm going that way next because I don't think I'm going to get another avocado slot.
The thing that I loved about it is you only have to buy the basics,
Yes.
pop to the local shop and buy the basics. But
yes,
it basically forced you to cook something new every night, and they were always really easy, and they were always really surprisingly good. I really liked it.
Well, the one I've got my eye on wouldn't even require me to do that, because the one I've got my eye on is called Mindful Chef, who do deliver that, where you can cook it yourself if you want, or they also deliver smoothies. So all you've got to do is blitz them, and frozen meals where they've done the cooking for you. So I'm thinking an order of the smoothies and the frozen meals. So the smoothie for breakfast/lunch, the frozen meal for lunch/dinner. That's me sorted. And I think I'm probably going to have to go there before Easter. Actually, it depends how Ocado, if they get their act together. But I go on their website several times a day, every day, and I can't get a slot at the moment.
Yeah, apparently Tesco's have opened up 150,000 new delivery slots.
Okay, I might try Tesco then.
No, don't bother. Nobody can get one of those either.
Oh, okay.
They're just getting literally snapped up the minute they go online.
Yeah, I know.
It's crazy, isn't it? Because
there's luck to it. You see, if you happen to be online the minute, it's a bit like buying tickets for gigs, isn't it? If you happen to be online the moment they go live, then you get them, don't you?
I mean, our local co-op is struggling manfully to keep the shelves filled, but it is really quite woeful, and you can't get the things you actually want to cook the specific dishes you want. You have to buy things as you see them.
But that's okay. It's ready, steady, cook.
Yeah, good point. So no MasterChef spoilers, please, because I've only managed to catch one this week.
Well, I'll tell you. Can I tell you one thing? And I know you're not going to like it, and Marion's going to like it even less than you. But once they start going to the professional restaurants, I don't like it. I find it stressful. I much prefer them all cooking for Greg and John in the back at the HQ.
I totally understand what you mean about stressful. I literally, my heart is in my mouth.
Oh, quite. And I don't want that as entertainment. I particularly don't want that as entertainment right now.
But they do come back to the kitchen with lots of new
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
So.
So I could probably skip whatever it's called. What's it called, this bit? Is it called Knockout? I don't know.
Knockout week, yes.
Whatever. I could probably skip this week, actually, because it's too stressful.
It's only half the show, though, isn't it, when they go to the
Yes, that's right. Yes, so you're right. I could start at the beginning. It was all rather brutal Knockout week because, I can't remember how many people. We start with 20, 16, I think. We end up with 10.
In Knockout week.
Yeah, and we end up with 10.
Yeah.
So it's quite brutal.
Yeah, well, these knockout weeks always are.
Yes, they are. But I think also because the last 16 are all quite good, so the 6 you have to spare, quite difficult to spare. It's like when it starts to hurt in the talent shows.
Yes.
Whoever goes this week, it's going to hurt.
And it's often they hurt because of one thing's gone wrong, like
yes.
Overcooked.
Well, I think that's what makes MasterChef interesting, is the fact that cooking at home in a different oven and then having to cook it to order in another oven, accidents, it's like, this has always worked at home. And I believe them when they say that, and their fondant doesn't work at the office. I believe them. I totally believe them because I know the vagaries of cooking, and that's what makes it interesting. If it was just like, every time I do this, it's the same, it wouldn't be nearly as interesting a program, would it? Because there'd be no jeopardy.
Yeah, jeopardy. Nothing has ever quite beaten the jeopardy of when my oven knob dropped off in the middle of Christmas dinner once, but it's all been downhill since then. Yeah.
You don't trust me, Nicola. You don't want your knobs dropping off.
No. What about your week then?
Oh, you are not going to like this. After I spoke to you last Thursday, I woke up on Friday morning to an email from my brother to say that his best friend, Johnny, who we've known since my brother was 11 and I was 13, his wife, Catherine, who's had cancer since the Christmas of 2017, the last 3 Christmases we've all spent together, they're our nearest family, Catherine have died of her cancer in the night last Thursday night.
Oh.
Now, Johnny and her 2 children were allowed to be with her in the Royal Marsden in Sutton in Surrey, which I think was fortunate because I'm not sure everybody is allowed to be with their people as they're dying at the moment. But of course, we couldn't cuddle them and we couldn't cuddle each other. And so I was alone here with my grief. And somehow, the rest of my family, who are only 5, there are 4 of them holed up at my brother's house. And Gareth, my nephew, had just bought his first home with his girlfriend on the Wednesday, the day before.
Oh, God.
And my brother, I think Gareth was the last man in the UK allowed to buy a house before it all stopped. But my brother wrote me in the email, he said shit times. And when Gareth contacted me, he said shit day. And then a miracle happened, which could only happen in these circumstances because normally they're too busy with work. But my niece phoned me at 6 o'clock and then my nephew and I spoke at 10 o'clock. So clearly they'd all worked out, oh, this is shit at our house, but oh God, Judith's on her own. So I had a nice long chat with them at 6 o'clock and 10 o'clock respectively. And interestingly, my niece and my nephew and I had never really believed that Catherine was going to die. And my brother and sister-in-law had always believed that Catherine was going to die. And what's interesting is that Catherine is my generation, but my brother's children regard her as a friend, if that makes sense. They're all so close. It's not like Dad's best friend's wife. It's like they're inseparable as two families.
Yeah, I know you've talked about them.
Yeah, I have. Yes,
before,
and she was a lovely, lovely person. I don't know if you wouldn't remember this, but on my 50th birthday, she was the first person to take the microphone and stand up. And at that time, she had a fancy dress up business for school children, and she'd made me a tiara and a magic wand.
How marvellous.
I know, how marvellous.
I remember those.
Yes, I mean, she was just lovely, 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 and 56, which is the youngest of all of us. And my niece told me, and then Gareth repeated it, that they'd got this story in their sort of reality, which was that when us older generation got dotty, they were going to buy an enormous home and put us all in it, and that Catherine, being the youngest, would be the matron with the keys who would go round and make sure everybody had taken their medicine. And they obviously loved this idea that Catherine would live forever and we would all predecease her, but Catherine died last Thursday night, and they're only allowed to have some grubby little 10-person funeral, which means we can't all come together to celebrate her life for an indefinite. We don't know when we'll be allowed to do that.
Yeah, that is really
well. That's far worse. Knocked everything else into a cocked hat, to be honest with you, Nicola. And I sat here crying by myself and looking at pictures of her. There's a beautiful picture of her and her husband and her children on holiday in Turkey 18 months ago, in which she looks. I mean, she'd had the diagnosis then, but in the picture she looks so happy, healthy, sexy, and whole. It's unbelievable. Her skin is gorgeous. She's in a swimming costume. She looks fantastic in it. It's unbelievable that you can die in, well, I know people do it faster than that, but the deterioration in 18 months is staggering.
Yeah, I know. Terrible, terrible thing.
Yeah, terrible thing. Anyway, that dominated my week a bit, as you can imagine. And it happened immediately after I spoke to you last week.
Yeah, I do keep ending up blubbing at the most ridiculous things. I think that's what I meant when I said it was up and down. It's you've obviously got something specific there to cry about, and also to let out the tension and everything you're feeling around what's happening to us.
I think when you know somebody, or you think you might get that email one day, so it wasn't a surprise, and I don't think it was a shock, but it was like, oh no. And then it's compounded by the fact that we as a family can't come together and we can't be with them.
Yeah.
Oh, it was just desperate.
Yeah, that's one of the things that really rocked me when I realised about what, people not being able to be with people. Yeah. It's terrible.
Anyway, that was I mean, that's all I've put in here to talk to you about my week. I've got loads to tell you in other sections, but it kind of, that's been the week really.
Well, we've got to talk about the good and the bad, haven't we? And it would just be false if we didn't acknowledge.
Well, I don't think I could not tell you about that. I mean, as I say to you regularly, I'm a gabby person. It's better out than in.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what if anything has fueled my fire this week?
Yes.
I'll go first. Give you a
little
break.
Good.
Some of my affiliate income streams have picked up.
Oh, good.
I think that's probably because people are more often at home and looking for alternatives, ways of earning a living. And we're going to talk about some of that in Focus of the Week, so I won't preempt myself there.
Okay, but, good.
It's made me want to look at things, because I do recommend some really good tools, which are really good for people wanting to recession-proof their business. And I read a really good article this week, which is not sensationalist at all, and I might give you the link to share. It's by some scientists in America who think that we're going to have to manage this not just over the next 12 weeks, but over the next 2 years, really, and let people build up, let people get sick in smaller numbers, much smaller numbers, and then lock us down again. And then, so they were saying that we need to get used to a different way of working. And all of that can be very positive because it will be less pollution, less, wear and tear on the planet. People will get more time with their families and all that business. So the article actually was quite positive, but it was a little bit worrying in that people are thinking it's all going to end in 12 weeks. We're all going to go back 100% to normal. So, I'll share it. But it made me think about how we all need to start working a different way. And some of the tools that I recommend are the things I use myself. And I think that's why people are going online and looking for solutions and looking for things that they can use that are recommended by people they trust. So affiliate income is very much the poor and a bit embarrassing cousin of making a living online. It's not.
I don't think it's embarrassing at all. I think affiliate income is wonderful.
No, it is wonderful. I mean, it's kept me going through some very dark times.
Yeah.
But I remember once doing a promotion for Laura Betterley's local social program, which was excellent, a pre-runner to the thing I did, which taught me Facebook ads, and I made $3,500 in one weekend just by recommending her to my very small mailing list.
Yeah.
Because I knew that she's a good teacher, and she actually has her own agency in Miami, and she looks after people.
And was she a good payer as well? Because that's one of the issues we've had with affiliates, isn't it? You want to be able to rely on it coming on the nail.
Well, you do, and I think that's all about people's reputation. And the person who still owes me money is obviously gone beyond caring about her reputation because she just still hasn't paid. But a lot of people have got very good reputations to maintain, and the last thing they want is people talking about them badly online. But it made me think, okay, I need to just dust off my affiliate recommending list and see how I can make more of a feature of that on my website, because people are looking for recommendations to good tools and tools that, moreover, are appropriate for their particular level of expertise and their situation. Because sort of, which mailing list host should you use? Well, it depends how big your business is and how big you think it's going to get and all that stuff. Yeah. Which should you be looking at Thrive themes, or should you be looking at ClickFunnels? Well, it depends on your business.
Yes.
So I think, there is an opportunity there for making, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about something I've come across, which is fantastic in the focus of the week. But so affiliate income, we've got some nice checks coming through at the moment. And the other one is I've entered all my writing opportunities now. I just missed the ITV Red Planet one because it was a lot more involved, actually coming up with an outline for a whole other series on top of the pilot I've already written and the thing I did for the short film around isolation and connectivity in this time. So I'm building up a nice little sort of body of work that I can submit to things. And but I missed the ITV one. I don't know how that happened. I had it in my diary, and it just, when I looked at it, it was just because they all want things done in a different way.
I know, it's not annoying.
In a different way. It's quite a lot of work just taking what you've already got and moulding it to fit the brief.
Yes. A bit like applying for jobs. When I used to apply for jobs in the 70s, you had to sort of adapt your CV to fit the job that you were applying for.
Well, I ditto when I was applying for Time Out Lonely Hearts. I used to have a stock reply, but then I'd top and tail and personalise.
Yeah, because I was so young as well. I was like 17 and 18. I often had to lie about my age, so I had to keep records of the lies that I'd told.
Yes, which lies you told to whom?
Yes, exactly right. Yeah.
Has anything filled your file?
Yes, I've got rather a lot in this section. Not really about fueling my fire literally, but in the context of it. Jane, my funny friend who I told you about last week, who'd said at least you weren't drinking and shagging up the King's Road, Judith. Do you remember? Yeah. Well, her latest name for me, she sent me. I hadn't realised what an extrovert she is. So actually, she's struggling a bit and keeps sending me overtures of things to join in on, which of course I don't want. No. But the preamble in one of her emails was, "I realise you are the world's most competent social isolator, but you might be interested in this." So she's given me a new name. I said, "Oh, I think I might capitalise that and use it on the podcast. I am the world's world's most competent social isolator, because of course she said to me, I've just downloaded Skype. Well, we downloaded Skype about 25 years ago.
Given up on Skype.
Well, I know it moved on, but I said, once you've downloaded it, look for me here and let me know when you've done that, and then we'll set up an appointment to speak. Anyway, she also told me a lovely story that you'll like, which is she's older than me, so let's say she's 68 or 69, and they're living in the country now, and she went to, I think she said Waitrose, and she asked her older, vulnerable neighbour, what would she like? And the neighbour said a chicken. And Jane wanted a chicken as well. And when she got to the chicken section in Waitrose, it said only one poultry item per customer.
Oh, no.
So she had this moral dilemma. I'm going to have to say a rude word here, sorry to quote her. She said, I hate how this crisis is turning me into a bastard. But I think what she did was get the one chicken and give it to the neighbour. So she wasn't a bastard at all. She was a saint.
There is a way around this. If you go round to the prepared food section, they have spatchcock chickens, which are much nicer anyway.
Well, I imagine, I was telling somebody last night, she said, well, she probably got the sausages and the mince or something. But actually, I do think a chicken in the freezer is quite a useful thing to have at the moment. But she had a moral dilemma. She called it, after my book, she called it nice girl hand-wringing, because she's realised after reading my book how much nice girl hand-wringing she does. And she had to do some nice girl hand-wringing over the chicken section in the Waitrose. And then she gave the chicken to her neighbour. What a lovely person she is.
We're all making moral choices every day.
I said I love a moral dilemma, me. I actually honestly think that I would have taken the chicken for myself and bought something else for the neighbour. Sorry.
Every time I take an item out of my dry store in my bedroom, I have to decide whether I'm going to put it on the list to recharge a third each to my children, or whether
yes.
We've got this phrase going on now. I'm releasing this rice into the wild, which means that I won't be charging anyone.
It's free. Yeah, rice is free at your house.
Yes, it is. Potatoes. I've had to release the potatoes, the onions and the carrots because they were all getting a bit strange in the bottom of my wardrobe.
Anyway, let me carry on because I've got 3 more yet. So the world's most competent social isolator is keeping calm and carrying on. I've done 3 clients this week. I can't say that they were normal. 2 out of the 3 weren't normal. One wanted to pick my brains about, I can't remember what now, but one normal call to 2 COVID calls, let's call it.
Okay.
And the other things that have, because I spend quite a lot of time on my own, I get a chance to think about things a lot, which I love. And what's become important to me, as I hinted last week, is stillness. So no panic, no flapping around, no busyness, as the best way of protecting my immune system. And then it occurred to me that we seem, not me, I'm sorry to have to say, or I'm proud to have to say really, but we seem to have mostly forgotten that thoughts become things, and what we think about, what we fear, we create. And so I'm just going to remind everybody that we're very good at that on this podcast, and we've been training you to do that for 269 episodes. And I think the time has come where we must all realise we've got to manage that better than ever before. So search out the stuff which supports what you choose to believe, create and maintain beliefs around the outcome you want to manifest. I believe, for instance, that the amount of quinine in Fever Tree tonic water is going to protect me. So it is, because that's my belief, despite my young neighbour poo-pooing my theory and sending me evidence on the internet to debunk it. That's his reality, not mine. So remember that what you're thinking about, what you're fearing, you're creating. So that's the end of my lecture. Let's move on to Focus of the Week. You tell me what it is.
Okay, well, this came about because I've been watching, obviously, I'm one of those people who don't close all the ads that go past me. I watch them and think about them because I'm interested. And I was watching all the different ways that people are continuing to market their business, or who have adapted to market their business different. And I have some examples to share with you.
Before you go there, are we doing the second one as well, not charging during a pandemic?
Yes, well, yes. You're absolutely correct. These 2 things are inextricably linked. So,
and they're about ethics, aren't they?
Well, I think it's about ethics, and I think it's also about whether you've thought about it or not. So let me give you some examples.
Before you go, I'm just going to read out what you and I and I put on Messenger, because it summarises what we're going to talk about. So Nicola said to me, marketing in a pandemic, yay or nay? not charging during a pandemic, daft or good PR. And she was offering those to me as one for this week and one for next. I said, I think they're the same thing. So we're rolling them together and discussing them today. Off you go,
Yeah,
mate.
I've got some examples, and then we'll talk about it. You can see if you've got any examples. Joe Wicks kicked this off with, he's gone viral globally. He's been focused on many television shows now because he's been doing, I think it's 3 workouts a day for free on YouTube. Now, obviously, that's fantastic. And in fact, I can hear at 9 o'clock every morning the 2 little girls downstairs doing the Joe Wicks workout for kiddie winks. And I'm sure the mum downstairs is extremely grateful for him wearing them out a little bit. It must be utter hell down there. And so he's going to make a lot of money from YouTube AdSense income, but he's decided to donate it all to charity. I think he's donating it to the NHS or something, which we shouldn't have to do, but apparently is very welcome. I was sort of thinking to myself, why would he donate all the income? Why would he not donate some of it? And then I was thinking to myself, well, anything he does pretty much after this is going to sell out because his audience has increased so dramatically.
Oh, and he also hasn't quite an existing substantial royalty income from his book sales.
Yeah, he does.
Yep.
He's a successful guy anyway.
Yeah.
Then I was thinking about Pitch Restaurant, who is Kenny Tutt, who is my local master chef.
Sorry, what's the restaurant called?
Pitch, Pitch.
Okay.
Everything they do is so beautifully done. I mean, their graphic design is wonderful. Their photography is absolutely wonderful. He's just done his first his first video on YouTube, which is teaching people how to make his grandmother's soda bread, which is very much on topic for this week, obviously, because I'm moving on to soda bread. It looks much easier. And but he's just launched his first YouTube video, so that he immediately swung into doing deliveries. Now this is a very upmarket restaurant. This is fine dining, and they're doing fine dining deliveries, and apparently they're doing well with it. So,
well, I've got a client in Edinburgh, and they still get fine dining deliveries.
Yeah. Then I was looking at what Frank Kern is doing. He's really taken what he was doing, which is encouraging people to get his book about being a digital marketing consultant, and then watch a training, and then I think he's doing some very much reduced price thing where he's selling something he used to sell for $2,500 for $100, which I think is going to be incredibly good value, because I've had the book, and the book was very good. I read it last year, and it taught me a few things, which is nice. And then there's Russell Brunson, of ClickFunnels, who's pretty much carrying on as normal. And I've got to say, I was watching a video of Piers Morgan grilling the health minister this morning, giving him a very hard time about why we're not doing as well as Germany in the testing. And in between, Russell Brunson, because they now started putting ads in a longer video with high view counts, gets broken up into at least 2 ad breaks now, which is bloody annoying unless you subscribe and pay to YouTube. And Russell Brunson was pitching up, but the thing about Russell is he's only ever marketing a book, which is free, so you just pay the postage, and actually the book quality and the content is fantastic. So I was thinking to myself, I don't really mind you doing that, Russell, because you're not pitching something expensive, and you're only pitching something that will help people in this day and age, but you're getting a bit annoying in that you haven't adapted your ads any. So he sort of looks like he's ignoring it, even though he probably isn't. And then finally, my example is, Justin Brooke, who we've interviewed many times with Shona.
Yeah.
They've got an amazing thing they've just launched called knowledge.ly. And it's an app, and he's going to be putting all his courses on it, because he runs an agency himself, but also they run a very high level thing called Ad Skills, where you can go and get taught how to generate traffic on any platform very well by experts, but it's not cheap. But what he's done now is he's made a lot of his courses onto this app called Knowledgely. Just by signing up, you get, I think you get 2,000 points. And then if you sign up through my link, you get another 500 points. That's Nicola Care next. And then as soon as you introduce 2 other people, you get, I think, 1,000 points for each person that signs up using your own link.
I'd hardly dare ask you this question. What do points make?
Well, the points make, you get some of his really, really top-level courses for 5,000 points.
Okay.
And to buy them, he's done a really good job to buy them. You can actually buy the points. If you don't want to recommend his app, you can actually buy the points. It's only $40. So he's selling courses that, again, previously cost $2,000 or so for to make them very affordable. Now, I'm intrigued to know what he's going to make on the back end of this, but I would love that as a referral mechanism, because obviously you're referring something good. You get X number of points just for signing up yourself. You only need to get 2 more people, and you can actually get one of the courses. And
that works, pandemic or no, doesn't it?
Well, that's viral marketing at its finest, yeah. And then Justin and Shona did a very funny training where they were literally talking to people, showing people how to make a living with affiliate income. So circling right back to the affiliate thing, they were trying to help one of Justin's uncles, basically, who's just lost his job.
Yes.
And he knows that, I mean, they've never made any secret of they're poor as dirt rednecks, or they were until they got successful. And so a lot of people they're trying to help are the people who are not techie. They don't even know what affiliate marketing is. They're really trying to help the ordinary people in the same way that Gary Vee encourages people to go and buy things at garage sales and sell them on eBay. It's trying to really help the basics people who just about got a grip on buying cheap and selling a bit higher on eBay, who might be able to graduate to this. But I was just very impressed that some of these people have adapted what they had already. Some of those people have brought out new things. Some of these people are just giving stuff away willy-nilly to generate a bigger audience. So when they do start selling something, they've got someone to sell it to. So many inventive ways of taking what you do and repackaging it for people, the hundreds of thousands of millions of people who need help making a living after all this is not quite over. Mm. What are your thoughts on it all?
Well, nothing on any of that, although I was going to summarise it, but then you've summarised it, which is what I'm seeing in the list that I wrote down is free, useful, and digital products slashed to affordable.
Yes.
I'm not doing any of that, of course. But
no, of course not.
I've got something for you. A client mentioned it on Tuesday afternoon. I said, could you forward that to me? Because it's precisely on topic of what I'm going to discuss with Nicola on Thursday morning. And it was an email that she'd received. Ironically, she said to me, have you heard of Danny Iny? I went, oh God, he's one of my favourites. But he sent an email this week quoting Dan Sullivan. You remember Dan Sullivan?
Yes, of course, yeah.
Strategic coach.
Yeah.
And he published an article 12 years ago at the height of the financial crisis, which Danny remembered, and the article was called The Scary Times Success Manual.
I've got that.
Have you? Well, I'm going to read it to you and the listeners. It's a 10-point plan with only about 6 words in each point.
Yeah, it's really good.
Number 1, forget about yourself, focus on others. Now, let's see who's done that. Joe Wicks, Kenny Tutt. I think all those examples that you gave have forgotten about themselves and focused on others, pretty much, haven't they?
But yeah, and to be honest, that's what good marketing's all about.
Well, it is, yeah. So that's probably why it's at number 1. Number 2, forget about your commodity, focus on relationships. Well, that's what Joe Wicks is doing.
Yeah.
Yes, forget about your commodity, forget about what you're selling, take this opportunity to connect with people. 3.
And do it in a way that's authentic and likeable.
If you've got those qualities to begin with, which not everybody has. Number 3, forget about the sale, focus on creating value.
Okay, yes.
Number 4, forget about your losses, focus on your opportunities, which of course is exactly where I've gone.
Yeah.
Because it's about positive thinking. 5 is the same, I think. Forget about your difficulties, focus on your progress.
That's nice too, yeah. Because you are going to have little roadblocks.
Yes. 6, forget about the future, focus on today.
That keeps you in the present.
Well, it's perfect because actually we've no idea what the future is going to be. Pandemic or no, we've never got any idea about the future. So that one works 300 for the rest of my life every day. 7, forget about who you were, focus on who you can be. Ooh, so it's an opportunity for us to reinvent ourselves if we want to.
Yeah.
Forget about events, focus on your responses. So you see, responses is different from reaction. How do you choose to respond to what's going on in the world?
Yeah.
Number 9, forget about what's missing, focus on what's available. So that's what we've got to do when we go to the co-op. We've got to do ready, steady, cook.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I'll give you an example. Soda bread is made with buttermilk. I've spent quite a little bit of time trying to find some buttermilk, and then I did a search for how do you make buttermilk, and it's just normal milk and lemon juice with a bit of bicarb soda.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
And number 10, which we do in I Love My Life Every Day, and you do it as well, forget about your complaints, focus on your gratitude.
Yes. That's nice too. And
Yes.
that's all from Dan Sullivan, is it?
Yes, but 10 years ago, as a response to the financial crisis, 12 years ago. So where would that be? 2008. So it still works. Disaster. So wisdom that works in a disaster works in any disaster.
Yeah. Bear with or chat on for a minute. I just want to do a little search.
I'll bear with.
I was just trying to find if Dan Sullivan was the author of my favourite book, which is Getting Everything You Want Out of What You've Got. Or
and
something
is he?
Along that. I've recommended it several times in this podcast. No, I don't think he is. I think it's the other one.
Okay.
Yeah, the other Dan.
But Dan Sullivan's written some really good, accessible books, actually. Are you on his page on Amazon?
Oh, here it is. It's J. Abraham, Getting Everything You Can Out of All You've Got.
Okay. What
to Do When Times Are Tough. Now, can I recommend this for anyone to recap on bartering? You know, we were talking about the bartering. A bread for a pasta machine.
Yeah.
It also talks about three-way bartering, which is extremely helpful in these situations where you want something, but you haven't got something.
Yes.
Yeah, so you
do
it three-way.
Actually, three-way bartering works just like babysitting circles did, where you pay in beans. Babysitting circles used to run on. You pay when you babysit for each other's children, you are credited in beans or anything you like, and then you spend the beans with somebody else in the circle on a sit.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, what are those various barter schemes? They're called. I forget what they're called.
I had the Portobello Let's scheme.
Yes, Let's. That's it. Yeah. Let's. Yes.
Yeah.
What do you remember? What Let's stands for?
Local Enterprise Trading Scheme.
There you go.
Yeah.
Barter.
Yeah.
Nice word for barter.
Yeah, and at the moment, you know, as everybody's got no cash flow, but still got their skills and stuff, that's a great way to go.
Do you know, when I was an accountant, I used to barter everything from massage to what do you call that nice stuff when people build in shelves either side of your chimney breast?
Alcoves.
No, there's a proper word for their skill set. There's a proper word. It's not a carpenter. It's I forget what they're called now.
Cabinet maker.
It's more than that. Anyway, whatever. So, you know, decorating, anything that any of my clients did, they usually proposition me with barter. You know, if you want this instead of us paying you, Judith, you've only got to say. And of course, it's very tax efficient as well, isn't it?
Yes. Very good. Okay.
So let's go back to the question: marketing in a pandemic, yay or nay?
Well, yeah. Yes, I think so, as long as you're sensitive with it.
Well, actually, what you also said was as long as you adapt the ads.
Yeah, because it does great.
It's stuck in your craw. Yeah, it did. Yeah. Even by a man you like.
Yes.
Okay. And then number 2, not charging during a pandemic, daft or good PR. Well, it depends what you're offering. Joe Wicks doesn't cost him anything, does it?
No, I think definitely. I mean, this is the best model anyway. Even when you're not in a pandemic, is to give lots of value away for free. Like the Helen word I'm not trying not to mention nowadays.
Yes.
He does that beautifully. So
yes, I think we should call it the pandemic on the basis that if we call it a pandemic, we're inviting another one in our lifetime.
No, we definitely don't want
we don't want another one of those, though. So we're going to call it the pandemic. Okay?
Yes. Yeah, very good. Very nicely picked up there.
Do you want to say anything else on this topic?
No, I think hopefully we've given people examples of things to look at and things they might want to adapt for their own business and a bit of a clue about how to go about it. Yeah, nice.
Right, now tell me, what is your word of the week?
Surreal.
Oh no,
because
that's the word I ban on what do you call those reality shows, isn't it? When all the people say how's it feel? It feels surreal.
Well, this is a whole other level of surreal.
Well, it is. That's true. Yes, I wish they'd stop using it on X Factor. Numpties.
Yeah, it just is. I tell you what's so weird. It's because you look out the window and everything looks so normal out there, and yet it's quite deserted, which is surreal too. But it's a bit like there's a film called Bird Box, which is actually really good. I might have mentioned it before, and in that everything looks very normal. And that must have been a dream to film, budget-wise, by the way, because I didn't have to actually do anything for it at all. But everything is different. And the air, there's something, in the air. And it's a bit like this. We know it's not floating around in the air because we haven't seen like 5 loads of lorries going past with disinfectant and things like that. But it's just all so surreal. I go along normally for a little while, and then I have these moments of surreal wash over me.
I only have the first half of what you described. You looked out of the window and everything's normal. That's my normal. End of. I stop there.
Okay.
like my cats do, you know?
Yeah.
Cats can't carry it. Cats can't catch it. Cats don't know it's going on.
No. All they care about is when their next dinner's coming.
Exactly right. And basking in the sunshine on the deck.
I have been watching many more kittens on YouTube than I would normally.
Me too. Humour and kittens is my way of vibe raising.
I wandered into a surreal wilderness of a Korean couple who'd bought a little kitten to introduce to their little fluffy dog, and I spent a good 20 minutes watching these two getting to know each other.
Well, I mean, the whole thing of how the animals and the babies and the animals and the other species love each other is just amazing.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
It took the dog a little while to win this kitten over because the kitten was ruling the roost, but now the kitten was following the dog. It was brilliant. Anyway, tiny little house, tiny little puppy, tiny little kitten.
Adorable.
Yeah. Very fluffy.
Adorable.
What's your word?
Well, I'm going to tell you the urban myth story around the word crisis. Do you know that?
No.
The urban myth is that the Chinese word for crisis, frequently invoked in Western motivational speaking as being composed of two Chinese characters signifying danger and opportunity.
Yes.
So Mrs. Thatcher used to say there's opportunity in crisis, but actually this isn't true. While the original meaning is danger at a point of juncture, and many linguists and native Chinese speakers highlight the errors in its Western interpretation, the terms danger plus opportunity meaning has been so widely used by politicians, business people, and in popular culture that its alternative etymology has been picked up all over the world, including by some native Chinese speakers. So it's not actually true, but so many of us believe it to be true that it's kind of true.
Yeah. Well, it's a bit like that Harvard study where they followed all those people and made somehow the myth arose that they'd done a study about the people who became the most successful and who'd written their goals down. Well, actually, we do know that writing your goals down is like to make you more successful, but the Harvard study never actually existed.
Well, I think if we go back to my point about what I choose to believe, if I choose to believe that crisis has opportunity within it, then crisis has opportunity within it.
Yeah. It's very true. It's so true. It really is.
It is true.
Project updates then.
Well, I do have something to contribute on this. No, I haven't got a project update. I can't even keep my own living space clean. The less I have to do, the less I can do. It's like the 2 weeks you get off for Christmas. Self-esteem slips to slum levels. And then eventually something kicks in which restores cleanliness, laundry, hoovering, etc. What I wouldn't pay for a cleaner to do my floors, her or his price, is beyond rubies, but it's forbidden, of course.
I know. I need the bathroom. The kitchen. It just needs doing constantly.
Oh, well, my floors. I haven't even got the means to clean my floors. I haven't got a mop and a bucket.
I mean, I said earlier about looking out on the high street.
Yes.
It would be easier if the windows weren't so dirty.
Yeah, well, I could clean a window. I quite like cleaning a window. I find that satisfying. But
how do you clean the outside of a second floor window?
No, you can't. No, you need a man with a ladder.
Oh, you need a gadget, one of those mechanical.
Oh, yes, you do, and they're magnetic.
Yes, I'm not convinced it's not going to work and drop on someone's head.
No, I agree.
I
think in your first experiment it would drop on, not necessarily on somebody's head, but it would drop because
you've got nobody out there to drop it.
You've got to, unless your windows open inwards.
Nah, they don't.
No, good. Because some windows, Velux windows, tilt.
Yeah, no, these are tilted, but they're tilting in the wrong way that I can't reach them. But anyway, I'm going to have to do something. Phoebe has got into a frenzy of interior design. Her bathroom is now festooned with quite fetching fake ivy. And she's got it going all around the edges of her bedroom as well.
Tell her from me that's very bad feng shui and a terrible dust collector, like that stuff you had in your fireplace when you first moved in.
I definitely I said about the dust, and she says, I don't care.
Now, tell me what you've got in PUs.
I have been totally unable to concentrate on anything for any length of time. So I've just been trading crypto, trying to make my little pot bigger. And it got a lot bigger just overnight, which was a nice thing to see. But I'm thinking of doing a major redesign of NicolaCairncross.com. Thrive Themes have brought out a new thing called Thrive Builder, which looks gorgeous. And they actually did a brilliant case study where they created a conversion-friendly coach stroke personal branding website. So, obviously right on topic for me. And I'm thinking, because I've got this bastardized website, which is a combination of me trying to do sales pages with Thrive, what those Australians did, which I can't change at all, and the original website that was on Genesis and child theme. And I'm just thinking I might just start from scratch and make a beautiful, tightly focused, recession-proof orientated website.
Well, if you don't grab this time, Nicola,
well, exactly.
I don't think you'll ever have a better time, to be honest.
I think it would be quite an enjoyable job because of the fact that I've got a step-by-step video to follow, and then I can copy and paste my content into it.
Yes.
So yeah, that's looking like it's going to be much more likely in the next week or so. That's pretty much it for me. Oh, we topped 140,000 downloads.
Yeah, I saw you put up the thing.
This is my opportunity to say we grow by your recommendation. So if you could share with just one person this week, lovely listener, we would much appreciate it.
Yeah, we would.
Okay, good stuff. Who or what's impressed?
Oh, I've got 3 things. What have you got?
I've got 3 things too.
Oh, okay. Should we do 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, or do you want to do your 3 or what?
I don't. Yeah, let's do 1, 1, 1, 1.
All right. I'll tell you the story first of all of my colleague Mitch, who is American, aged 60, and doing a piece of business in which I'm involved in Dubai. And he flew from America to Dubai, and when he got to Dubai, he was tested and found to have COVID ID.
Oh,
No, it's good. It's a great story, this. He was entirely asymptomatic, which means he had no symptoms at all.
Oh.
He was eventually passed a clean bill of health, and he has since flown back to America and back to Dubai in order to further this piece of business we're working on together. So he's had it. He had no symptoms. He's been diagnosed. He's been passed clear, and he's been traveling the skies incessantly in order for the win. Mitch for the win. He's my current hero, Mitch.
Yeah, I can't actually believe that enough planes are still flying for people to be able to travel.
Some you can fly on a mail plane if you're motivated to get somewhere.
Oh, okay. Fascinating.
Mm.
Okay, mine is The Liar Season 2 continues to entrance and enthrall, and thoroughly enjoying it. We're up to episode 5, I think, now, and I've still got no idea who done it, so I'm enjoying that a lot.
Good. Shall I give you my next one?
Yeah, go on then.
It's a quote that I put on Facebook yesterday, which I know you've seen, but it's so good that I'm going to put it here again. And actually, funnily enough, I liked it because last week, which for our show, which goes out tomorrow, we talked about extraordinary times. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And the quote says, extraordinary times, it turns out, do not always call for extraordinary measures or even extraordinary people. They often call for ordinary measures and ordinary people finding ways to do ordinary things when everything around them seems to make ordinariness impossible. And that's by somebody I've never heard of called Michael Austin. I don't know who he is, but I think it's perfect. So when we talked about last week, so there's our journey through this crisis, quote unquote. Last week, we thought it was all about extraordinary. And this week, he's promoting let ordinary people find ordinary ways to do ordinary things, which are very comforting in a time which might feel like ordinariness isn't possible.
Very nice. I like it.
I like it a lot. Yeah, I do too. You go.
Right, mistake number 2. I've been watching, Phoebe's forcing me to expand my repertoire of things I watch, i.e. overseas things. We're watching a really good psychological time traveller thriller called Dark on Netflix at the moment, which is German. And I honestly thought it was going to be absolutely terrible because it's dubbed. And we watched Ragnarok. I don't know if I've mentioned Ragnarok to you. It was a Viking mythical thriller thing, supernatural kid gets supernatural powers, but it was so badly dubbed and their outfits were so appalling. I was found it very hard to watch. But Dark is actually really, really good, and it's set in the Bavarian forest, so the scenery is absolutely amazing, and the dubbing is not too bad, and the characters are really compelling. They've chosen good voices to match the characters, so it doesn't look too incongruous. You could do subtitles if you wanted to, but I'm definitely preferring dubbing. So Dark on Netflix. It's not a horror, it's not too terrifying, it's a psychological time travelling thriller.
I think one of the surprises of the last decade of my television viewing has been I never used to be bothered to go and see a foreign film and read the subtitles. Now I'm totally happy to watch any language and follow the subtitles. Mainly, of course, because I don't watch on telly. I watch on either my iPad or my laptop, which is near enough for me to read the subtitles.
Yeah. Well, this one you don't need subtitles. If you prefer, you can have subtitles.
Yes, I think I would prefer in a funny sort of a way. I think when it's a bit like when people don't have the words quite matched up to the mouth movements. I find that a bit off-putting, to be honest.
Yeah, it's better than Ragnarok in terms of dubbing.
Mm.
I wouldn't be watching it if Phoebe hadn't made me, but I'm absolutely gripped again. I can't say, good writing, good acting, good plot development. I don't know what's happening at all, so it's great. Okay, number 3 then.
Yes, this is going to make you fall off your chair. Not the man, but what the man has got me to do. I had always been aware of a man called David Wilcock, and with more time on my hands this week, I've been able to look into his version of the world. It's very similar to my own, and he's written lots of New York bestsellers. He's very competent. He's been researching all of this for 30 years. And the first video of his, which I watched, first of all, it's amazing I watched a video at all. First video was 5 hours long. Second video, 3.5 hours long. Now, I haven't finished either of them, but I have done at least 3 hours of each of them. I've done somewhere between 5 and 8 hours of David Wilcock this week. And the only reason I'm able to watch it is because he stands and talks to the camera. He's so professional, coherent, cogent. He's just telling me stuff I know already, but because he's so well researched and well connected, it's eminently viewable and it doesn't feel like a video, if that makes sense.
Is it on YouTube?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Anything we need to know about the subject matter?
Oh, well, it's all what's really going on under the guise of the...
Oh, well, that'd be interesting then.
Yeah. I don't know whether you'll like it. It depends what reality you live in. If you live in mine, you'll lap it up with a spoon and you're probably saying, what took you so long to catch up with David Wilcock? Well, I tell you what you will like. It's the bit of his that I ignore, is that he's an expert on extraterrestrials.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. I ignore all of that. And this stuff I've been watching isn't about that.
Has he been with Joe Rogan?
Yes, he mentioned Joe Rogan and somebody that he'd interviewed, that Joe Rogan had interviewed on the topic of my interest, which is, what's going on in the world, really.
Yeah, okay. All right. Oh, it sounds great. I'm going to check it out.
He's really a talking head in these videos. He stands in front of the camera. His wife operates the camera. They have some technical difficulties, but they manage. But he's very coherent. And I went to Wikipedia, and actually, even they don't slag him off as a woo-woo. So, so he's got an advantage, really. Yeah. I've enjoyed David Wilcock this week.
Okay. Well, my favourite science fiction author of modern times...
No, wait. Let me say who that is. Ooh. It's either Michael Marshall Smith or Ian M. Banks.
He's dead, unfortunately.
Oh, who's your favourite?
My new favourite
is
N.K. Jemisin.
Oh, yes. I think you mentioned him once before. Spell it. Jem.
Asin.
Yes, I think you mentioned her once before.
A woman, but she's a black woman, right, in the sci-fi field.
Okay, yep.
She's a Hugo Award winner 3 times running.
Okay.
Which is a very high accolade indeed.
Okay.
And she's got a new book out called The City We Become. Or The City We Became, I'm not sure which one.
So your third one is her latest book, The City We
Became.
Okay.
And it's winning lots of critical acclaim, and I can't wait to read it.
Oh, cool.
So I've pre-ordered it. I think it's out any day now. I think it might even be out this week. But yes, I'm looking forward to that enormously.
A new book by one of your favourite authors is one of the great joys of life, which still works during the pandemic.
It does indeed. And on that note...
Yes, on that jolly note, I'll see you next week. Stay safe.
Yeah, lovely. And you.
Okay,
Stay safe,
right.
stay happy.
Yeah, all right.
Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. Do come and visit us at ownitthepodcast.com. We love to hear your feedback. You can find out more about Judith and visit her on her website at judithmorgan.com, and you can find Nicola at nicolacairncross.com.